Hello everyone and welcome to this particular video. My name is Rohit Gautam. I'm the founder of Hacktify Cybersecurity, and today we are going to discuss about one of the most important topic for everyone who is into this infosec or security scope. So we are going to see how to increase the scope for bug bounty hunting and penetration testing. So we are going to basically discuss about URLs, parameters and more. As we all know, parameters and URLs are very important to increase our scope when we are doing any penetration testing or hunting on any particular target. So this whole video motivates you to increase your scope so that you get more success into your work. Before that, a quick disclaimer. This video is only made for educational purposes. Now, you need to have Go installed into your computer because the tools that we are going to use into the video are pre-built or made in Go. This is because of the concurrency that we want to use so that we get faster responses and faster results for the commands that we execute. So the first thing which is required is installation of Go. So I assume you have already installed Go into your computer. In case you are running onto a penetration testing OS like Kali Linux or Parrot OS, you will have Go pre-installed. You can verify by typing the command go space version, and you will be able to see a nice version of Go prompted onto your terminal. If you see an error, which means you do not have Go installed and you need to install Go. Installation of Go is pretty simple and can be done from the official website of Go, or else if you have apt package manager, you can simply type apt-get installed golang. Alright, so once you have installed Go, we are going to export the Go path, which is very important step. Make sure you have Go bin and Go path properly set into your terminal. Now, you need to export the Go path to your home Go directory. So basically, to do that, as per your operating system or distribution, you can follow this official link of Golang wiki, which is the official documentation of how to set up a Go path into your computer. So I have already set it up the Go path. Let me show you how does it looks like. So I will just go to my bash rc file. And you can see over here, I've already exported my Go path. After you have done this particular step, you are ready to install tools. Now, before installation of any tools, let us quickly discuss about Wayback. Wayback is also known as the internet crawler for the web. It basically crawls all the web pages of the websites that have been deployed. Which means not only it crawls the web pages, it saves the URLs with itself. And basically those URLs also contains some juicy parameters and information. So this way, we are going to ask the Wayback Machine or the Wayback Archive for those particular URLs for any specific target. And you get more URLs, which means you are increasing your scope. And when you are increasing your scope for any particular target, the success rate increases. So we are going to use Wayback URLs, which is developed by Tom Nom Nom, a very useful tool. Now this particular tool is used for parameter mining, which is basically collection of parameters from the Wayback Archive crawl data. As we already know that finding parameters is an important step to increase the scope for your hunting process. So we are going to get the parameters from Wayback URLs database. We are going to increase our scope to get valid vulnerabilities. Now let's quickly see the installation of this tool. For that, you just need to go to GitHub and you just need to search for this particular repo, which is Waybackurls. You will be able to land onto this particular repository. Here you can see the installation step is very, very simple. Once you have installed Golang properly into a computer and you have set it up the Go path environment, you just need to copy this, go back to your terminal and paste it over here and hit enter. It will just take a couple of seconds to install, and once this is done, it will get automatically installed. Now, let's take a target and let's try to crawl the URLs for that specific target. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to use the Waybackurls tool to get all the URLs and parameters for any specific target. To do this, you just need to type Waybackurls, the target name. So for instance, we take this particular target, which is villainweb.com, and hit enter. And now it will start crawling all the URLs which has been saved, as you can see over here. Let's go back to the presentation and quickly discuss about what is the difference between Waybackurls and ParamSpider, you may ask. So with the help of Waybackurls, you get more hidden endpoints which are actually not visible right now or does not even exist into the new application, but have been crawled by the Wayback crawler some time ago. You also get broken endpoints. These broken endpoints basically means they were deployed once but have been removed, but for some weird reasons they still exist, and those particular parameters or URLs are resolvable, which means you may try to find vulnerabilities over there. You also get subdomain endpoints for any specific target. So let's say you're hunting for Apple, then you may get the subdomain crawl data also from the Waybackurl. That is, for instance, blogs.apple.com or store.apple.com. This way you are increasing your scope to the subdomains as well. Obviously, this is much faster because unlike ParamSpider, we are not going to send each request to the target server for spidering the whole application, because the Wayback archive data has already done that since years, and we just are going to fetch that particular data from the Wayback archive database to our computers. So this process is going to be faster, and we are going to be much more nicer to the server because we are not sending any live request to the server for spidering anything. Alright, so there is one more tool which is known as GAU, which is Get All URLs. So we can use this particular tool to identify a lot of URLs more than Wayback URLs. Why? Because this particular tool uses three sources for getting the URLs. The first source is Waybackurls. The second source is the Alien Vaults OTX. The third is Common Crawl. So these three sources, which basically means we are going to get a lot of URLs for that specific target, which means if we have more URLs, then we are increasing our scope more and we will get higher success rate. Now, let me show you how many URLs I have got for this specific target. First, let's quickly see how many URLs we got for this particular target. So this is crawling the URLs for this particular target, and we are doing a word count. So I assume we will have around, so we have around 451 URLs that have been crawled with the help of Waybackurls. But if we use GAU, then we may get more number of URLs for the same target. So I have done this particular demonstration in which, let me just show you I have done Wayback URLs and GAU both for Apple, and let's compare the results. So Apple, Wayback, and let's see how many URLs we got for apple.com using Wayback URLs. And you can see we got around 54,000 URLs, which will contain all the parameters. Now let's see the same thing for GAU. And you can see over here that we have got around 63,675 URLs, which is huge compared to the Wayback URLs data that we have got. And even if we run a sort on this, so let's say we want to sort the duplicate URLs from the 3 sources that we are getting, let's see how many can we reduce to. So by this comparison, we are estimating the number of URLs that you get. So basically you are increasing your scope much more compared to the Wayback URLs only. So I prefer using GAU for the targets, but remember, this may take significant amount of time because it is retrieving the data from 3 particular sources. All right, you can see we have reduced from 63,000 to 61,000. So we can consider those URLs to be duplicate. Still, we have nice amount of data that is still very, very huge compared to only Wayback URLs. Now to use GAU is again very simple. If you want to use GAU, just go to GAU and type GitHub. You will just jump over here. The installation process is pretty much very, very simple. You just need to clone this particular repo. After you have cloned this, then you can just simply use it. The installation is again very, very simple. If you want to download this for your own system or any distribution that you have, you can also do that. There is Linux, Mac OS and Windows version available over here. So you can use any one of it that you want. I am using the Mac OS version for my computer. And let me show you how to do this. So GAU test.php.woolenweb.com is the command that you need to fire. All right. So it's again very, very simple. You just need to give the tool name and the target name. And if you want to save the results into a file, you can just do T and the file name. So let's say the file name we give is filename.txt, and it will save all the results into that particular file. Yeah, so it is very simple. So getting back to the presentation now, you can see over here the Wayback URLs versus the GAU data. We have already done the comparison. As you can see, the Wayback URLs data was less compared to the GAU data. We have also run the sort filter and we have seen the comparison as well. Now, there's a bonus for this particular video. There are some more good tools that you can utilize, like ParamSpider, which is written in Python. It is fast. It also fetches from the Wayback URL database. One good thing about this tool is it replaces the parameters with the keyword which is fuzz, and it also works on nested parameters. So nested parameters basically means if any URL contains 2 parameters, for instance, testphp.com, or let's say testphp.woolenweb.com / parameter 1 equals to fuzz and parameter 2 equals to fuzz. This is 2 parameters into one URL. We call this as nested parameters. So ParamSpider does the job for that. It crawls the data from Wayback URL, replaces the values of those particular parameters with the keyword fuzz. So we can input our payload to those particular places or parameters or injection point, whatever you like to call it. Now, URLs for all subdomains for a target. So here's a simple script that I use. This script basically gets me all of the URLs for a particular target, including its subdomains. So what do I do first is I crawl the particular target for its subdomains. So after I have enumerated the subdomains, I save it into a file called as subdomains.txt. Then I use xargs, and then I'm going to use this particular tool. So the path of that particular tool, level high, to find nested parameters, and I'm going to save the output into a directory called as spidering ParamSpider, and I want to make a new file for each target subdomain. So let me show you how does it looks like when we do this. As you can see over here, my target was catch.com.au. So as you can see over here, my target is catch.com.au. And when I have run that particular tool on this particular subdomains that was saved into a file, I am able to get all the URLs of each subdomain, as you can see over here. So let me just try to show this. If I open this, this was a random target that I have taken on. As you can see, these are all the URLs that have been crawled from the Wayback URL. So this is again pretty simple, and it keeps your output neat and clean. It makes a folder, ParamSpider, and saves all the URLs for each target domain into a file, which is again very, very simple and effective, which is going to help you in the long run.
Yes, so now what we are going to do is we are going to enumerate the subdomains for a specific target. So let's say we use this particular target, which is coinbase.com. So I'm going to use find domain to enumerate the subdomain for coinbase.com. That's why I'm using the flag white, because I only want the subdomains and I do not want the logo or banner for this particular tool. And I want to save the output into a file called as domains.txt. So I'm just going to simply hit enter, and it is going to enumerate all the subdomains for that specific target, and it is going to save it into a new file called as domains.txt. Now I'm going to use this particular file, which contains all the subdomains, to enumerate the parameters using Python ParamSpider. You can utilize Wayback URLs as well, whatever you like. For this particular example, I'm using ParamSpider. You can replace this with GAU as well. Let's go back over here, and we can see perfect. We have got the subdomains. Let's see how many subdomains we have got. So we have saved the output in domains.txt, and we have around 133 subdomains. Perfect. Now let's copy paste this particular simple script, and what it is going to do is it's going to enumerate the URLs for each subdomain, and it is going to create a file with the name of that subdomain and save the parameters into that. I will just hit enter. Alright, we have saved the file as domains.txt, and I will hit enter. And you can see it has started, and it is trying to enumerate the URLs for each target. As you can see over here, these are all the URLs for community.coinbase.com, and you can see the parameter has been replaced by the keyword fuzz, and this is what we want. As you can see over here, if I scroll, it is api.pro.coinbase.com. It has taken the domain name, the subdomain name from the list that we have supplied, and it has identified the endpoints using a Wayback URLs, and it is saving it into a folder which is spidering, ParamSpider, and the file name like this. Let's wait for this to complete, and then we will be able to see our results. So I have already saved all of these, so I'm just going to close this, and let me show you. Let me go to spidering. let me go to this particular folder, which is spidering, and I will be able to show you. Let me go inside this particular directory, and here you can see each subdomain file which has been created, which contains the subdomain and URL parameters into each file. So let us try to see how many are there into this community file. So let's do a word count, and you can see there are total 224 URLs for this specific target subdomain.
So I hope you guys understood how to use URLs for increasing the scope for penetration testing or bug bounties. In case you have any doubts, you can post it into the comment box. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.